So the following is a demo of Pacer Consult software, which is really TG-203 in code. So what is the problem being solved here? TG-203 was meant to standardize Pacer consults. In order to standardize them, they had to be prescriptive. So they had to say, well, if this situation applies and that situation applies, you have to do so and so. And therefore it reads like an algorithm written in English prose. Now, we cannot memorize 32 pages of English prose algorithm for cases that come up once or twice a year. And the flowchart misses rules and exceptions. So the end result is that clinics end up defaulting to conservative but wasteful approaches, such as mandating that we use TLDs for every consult, or improvising, which defeats the whole purpose of the TG-203 report. The core issue at the end of the day is that the guideline was written in English prose when it really should have been written in code. So the solution naturally is to actually just put TG-203 into code. And so this software is an iterative white box algorithm over rules taken directly from TG-203. Each pass updates intermediate variables and final recommendations. It handles incomplete inputs or even incomplete rule sets. Finalizes when sufficient data exists, otherwise shows what's determined based on given inputs. The reason that's important is because what you effectively need to do when providing these consults is to make recommendations at different points of the planning process. So if you at an earlier point in the planning process, you may need to make recommendations based on incomplete inputs. And then as the planning process proceeds, you have more inputs and can make further recommendations. Also, it's important because this white box can be refined and extended over time because it doesn't require you to have a complete rule set from the get-go. So the way it works is very simple. You enter patient information in the top left panel, or you can pick up where you left off earlier by loading saved inputs. For example, you might have used it for this patient earlier in the planning process when you had incomplete inputs and you wanted to generate the recommendations corresponding to this set of incomplete inputs. And so you ran it, but you remembered to save those inputs. So later when you have the full set of inputs, you can load the saved inputs, add the additional inputs to what's already been loaded, and run the software to get the full set of recommendations. Once you've fixed the inputs panel, you press go. It then iterates and shows its logic trace on the bottom table. The columns represent variables and recommendations. The rows represent iterations. Blank cells mean that a variable has not been determined yet at that iteration. Cells fill in until the algorithm converges. So you end up with a report. In the report, I include a snapshot of the user interface. That's followed by summary recommendations, and that in turn is followed by the specific set of rules applied to reach them. So the takeaway is that TG-203 failed to eliminate subjectivity because it was written in English instead of code. And this software puts TG-203 into code to deliver consistent, transparent decisions.